Hey, welcome everybody. I'm Jonathan, head coach here at the Center for Coaching Leadership with part 4 of our series, How to Get Them to Own the Problem. What do I mean by own the problem? I want my team members to direct the process of problem solving, right? Don't come and like dump it on my lap and and expect me to do it. I want you to run with that problem all the way from start to finish. How do we do that? That's what we've been looking at the past several weeks in this series. Coaching is, as I've mentioned before, this is a collaborative process of problem solving. Ultimately, I want the ownership to reside with them. The director of the problem would be them. But I am in a collaborative process of helping them get to the solution. As a collaborator, okay, now, how do I actually do that? Collaboration has the connotation of shoulder to shoulder, right? Not boss and employee, which is what we're looking for when we're solving these problems. We had chatted about sort of the 4 big stages here: the problem itself, get to alternatives or a solution, implementing the solution, and then the wrap-up piece. And so we're going to examine this wrap-up piece. And what I would offer is a couple places where we might fall down in this process, okay? In really setting up a proper implementation, which we talked about last time, and then in this follow-up piece, after the implementation is over. Sometimes there's no follow-up here. It's just like there's a solution, they implement it, and we just move on to other things, right? But if we do that, we're missing a golden opportunity to help them lock in the learning and the growth that comes from solving challenging problems. Right? Okay, so that's where we're at today, is in the wrap-up. We're going to help what we call lock in the learning, which is bring that learning, which is often invisible, and try to make it visible so we can acknowledge it, hold on to it, use it for future problems. Step 1, we had the problem, we got the solution, we got the implementation. We roll over here to step 4, which is the wrap-up, the locking in of the learning after the action. What are we trying to do here as coaches? We are trying to facilitate 2 things, some reflection and some learning. Reflection to sort of bring about like, okay, wait, what did I do? What was this process? What happened? What was the good part? What was not such a good part? Like just sort of bringing it back to our attention and putting some meaning around it. And the learning is drawing out the lessons from that reflection that we might be able to use in the future. How do we do that? How do we facilitate a reflection and learning? The same way we've done all the other steps. It's the exact same, which is we're going to hit them with some questions on the backside of the implementation. The implementation happens. We don't like wait a month to get back to the person like, hey, how did it go? It's too long. So when we sharpen up the implementation to get a date, a time, like something specific of when this thing is going to happen, then when we wrap up, we want to hit that fairly soon, but not necessarily immediately after it. So it might make sense to do it immediately after to talk to them about it. But if you let it sort of simmer for a day, something like a couple days maybe, that's also okay. All right? So what do we ask to spark that reflection and learning? Going to be questions that are open-ended. Going to be questions that are probably positively oriented. My favorite one, the easiest go-to question is, hey, how did it go? How'd it go? What happened? What went right? Because we focus a lot on what may not be going right. What went right? And then we might ask some other ones here that might really encourage them to dig deep for some answers, right? Hey, if you had to do it, if you had a do-over, where would you use it in that whole implementation process? Kind of interesting question, kind of figure out like where they might redo something, right? Hey, are there any process improvements to make? Maybe we can better our overall process of handling these particular problems through a process improvement. How would you characterize it? Better than you thought? Worse than you thought? Something else? One of the easiest coaching questions ever. What did you learn? Forcing them to think about what they learned. So we want to hit them with the wrap up consistently after the implementation. Okay, so like the 0 to 1 step with this is just following up after they did something. And then to really improve on that, here's some questions that you can ask that are going to spark that. Now, when they give you an answer, we don't have to necessarily like beat it into them like, oh, okay, so you are definitely going to do this next time. We don't necessarily need to do that. What we're trying to do in this reflection and learning is raise awareness. Okay? We're trying to raise the awareness because we do things and there's lessons in there and stuff, but sometimes they just sort of sit underneath the surface. So we're raising awareness on what's going on here. And just that process alone will probably like bring it to their mind, and it might be something that they carry forward next time. Might not, but that's about the limits of what we need to do. Raise awareness about what happened, what they learned, what they're going to do next time, stuff like that. So we're back to the 3 C's, especially with the lock-in or the wrap-up piece, step 4. Really what we're trying to do there is help them raise awareness about capacity and or confidence. We're practicing capability and or confidence. And the capability piece is maybe they learned something, maybe there's a skill that got used in that implementation that we want to really bring awareness around for them to think about and for them to use potentially on future things. Maybe there's a confidence issue, it's quality of belief. Maybe there's a confidence piece that comes about where maybe they were kind of worried about what they were going to do. They weren't quite sure if it was going to work. And now they did it and realized it wasn't that big of a deal. That next time, maybe it also won't be as big of a deal, right? That might be the learning for them. That's great. All in service of, and that's where we get down to this one, all in service of building that capacity, the amount of high work that they can do over time. So, what's the work for you? Here it is this week. Here's the work. Relentless follow-up. Follow-up, 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 follow-up. I always want to follow up. I want to do that way more than most of us do that. I really don't want to miss that part of it. I think that's a really, really important piece. And if we do it consistently, they will expect it, and that will help with the accountability and the motivation to actually get the thing implemented in the first place, because I know Jonathan's going to come ask me about it later on. So relentless follow-up, just do this. Ask one after action follow-up question. I gave you a bunch of them up here. Pick one. How did it go? And start there. That's all you need to do to get that thing going. And then you've completed the big 4 steps. So we got the problem itself. We're holding back our solutions, asking questions. We've helped facilitate ideas and alternatives in that conversation with more questions, right? We get to the implementation where we're going to incentivize them to do something, to pick an alternative, to get that solution implemented. We're going to get clear about when this is going to happen, and then we follow up. Okay. Hey, this has been a fun series for me. I hope you've gotten something out of it. And we will take on another coaching challenge in our next video. See you then. Hope this has been helpful for you.